In the blur of the business crowd, they're easy to miss. The star employees no one really knew existed. That is until you stop and take a good look at former job pariahs like Sean Bolshin, who are suddenly the hot new hires. Sean is a security analyst at CIBC with an uncanny knack for detecting hard-to-spot breaches.
Hey, Sean.
But until a couple of years ago, he was the one who was always overlooked. At 30, this is his first job.
Did you have trouble getting a job before?
I did, because the interview process was difficult.
What was difficult? What part was hard? Did it feel like this?
Exactly like this.
Too many questions?
Too many broad questions.
Broad questions I have difficulty with.
Absolutely.
Sean has autism, a social communication disorder that makes any interview, including this one, painfully awkward.
You have a diagnosis of autism? You're on the spectrum?
Yes.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, a lot of people don't really understand what that is. I'm not like that different, but I do have the ability to see all those details and things, and definitely have a much tighter focus on things.
And that is what got CIBC's attention and got Sean in the door. He's a rising star. Hadi Majnoon is one of the senior leaders in Sean's department and his mentor.
What does his autism bring to the job?
The first thing that comes to my mind is focus and attention to detail. Someone like Sean is just a little bit more of everyone else, and not even a little bit more.
It's way better?
It's a very big strength.
So everybody open up your kit. We're going to start on page 7, so you can get started.
You can give robots some of the credit, or rather the exercise of building them. Sean went through this, and now so are the latest batch of potential CIBC hires. All of them on the autism spectrum, all of them struggling to find a job.
Exactly.
Alan Chris is with Specialistern, a company that recruits skilled workers on the autism spectrum for companies like CIBC. Instead of sit-down interviews, candidates are asked to show rather than tell what they can do.
How would these people fare in a traditional job interview?
The interview is like a barrier in the same way as a step might be a barrier for a person who's confined to a wheelchair. And so what we're trying to do is to find a way, find a ramp, and this is our ramp.
It's an out-of-the-box approach to identify the often astonishing analytical abilities of people with autism.
I've got one wheel. I'm very good at noticing patterns and being able to put that to good use.
It's just much easier to show what I'm capable of doing and what I can do rather than trying to explain it.
Specialistern's goal, to brand and sell the autism advantage. And it's gaining momentum. The company wants to find work for 25,000 autistic adults in Canada. Specialistern is in talks with dozens of companies and has helped nearly 100 people with autism in Canada find work in everything from coding to financial analysis.
It's growing significantly and the conversation has changed.
It may not seem like much, but Chris says it's huge, considering these same people never stood a chance before.
And now the conversation has turned to, well, what jobs do you think we could fill? Do you think you could fill my job, and what's involved in doing it? And that's a very different conversation than what we had before.
Specialistern may be leading the conversation, but plenty of other companies have picked up on the buzz. Last spring, the first job fair of its kind in Toronto, exclusively for autistic adults. Specialistern was there looking for more recruits. But so were many others, from the Toronto Police Department, to dairy makers, to IT companies.
Having folks with autism be able to join our workforce and bring that analytical skills that they do tend to have will only benefit us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For a population that is largely unemployed or underemployed, suddenly their disability is in demand. But is it a real wave of opportunity, or as some suggest, just a trendy form of tokenism?
I see this as a step back. I see this as
as an attempt to define somebody artificially.
Rich Donovan has cerebral palsy. He wants us to subtitle him so his message is clear. And that message is a surprising one.
So if I'm walking into an interview and somebody's thinking, what are guys with CP good at? I don't want to have that conversation in a job interview. I want to have a conversation about how much profit and loss can I bring to your company. Hopefully avoiding the loss side.
We met Rich 3 years ago when he was still living in New York after a successful career as a Wall Street trader. Now in Toronto, he's a consultant to big business and an advocate for hiring people with disabilities, for the same reason you would hire anyone else.
There are many, 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 many people with disabilities who will be rock stars at whatever they do. There are also many people that will fail, just like in the regular population. And that's okay. But we can't start creating boxes that are quite frankly artificial.
But the box, at least when it comes to autism, is still very much in the making, and some are happily stepping into it. When Ford launched a pilot project last year to hire 6 people with autism, Jeff Gebhardt didn't care if his disability got him in the door. After applying for more than 1,000 jobs, he just wanted in.
How do you feel about the fact that you are being hired based on your condition? How does that make you feel?
I don't mind it. I mean, I'm glad to know that there are companies out there like that, companies like Ford, willing to take chances on people with disabilities. So I don't mind it at all.
Jeff has an accounting degree, but he lacks the social skills to sell his skills. The only job he could get before Ford was on the floor of a recycling plant. Now he proofreads contracts with the automaker's suppliers.
Nobody's judgmental. They judge me based on the work I do rather than the person I am. So.
Ed Lofton is another Ford hire, the go-to guy for just about any job on the assembly floor.
Sometimes I dust cars, and sometimes I've done things like scanning parts.
Ed's family and other parents were the ones who convinced Ford to give autistic people a chance.
We're not putting them in a box by no means.
Mita Huggins is the director of diversity at Ford. She says Ford bought into the idea because it's not only the right thing to do, it makes good business sense.
Individuals with autism provide a unique set of skills, the way they think, the way they work, and it aligned closely with our vision and mission within the company to continue to build a diverse and inclusive environment.
We'll try and get that.
Okay.
Ford's plan is to hire up to 24 more autistic employees in the next year. But however well-intentioned, Rich cautions what Ford and other companies are doing only perpetuates the mindset that people with disabilities can't do it on their own.
What do you say to those parents, or to those individuals even, who say, this changed my life, the fact that I got a job?
They're missing one thing. They had to allow their children to take risk, right? So when most of us go out for careers, we made the sacrifices to go do that. We've done the things that set us up for those jobs. We've done all of those things. Many people with disabilities aren't taught to do that.
And because of that, though, they'll argue that they don't know how to get there on their own, right? That they need the specialisterns of this world to help them navigate a world that they can't navigate on their own.
They're probably right. But that's not a good approach. Because part of the reason why people with disabilities are struggling with employment is because of this charitable mindset, right? We have to have very real conversations about moving away from that charitable model into a more sustainable market-based model.
You like working with Sasha?
Yes, of course, basically, yes.
That may be the ideal, but right now, that marketplace doesn't exist. And John Sicard argues people like him must intentionally create it.
All right, Nick.
Sicard is the CEO of Kinaxis,
Any meetings this morning?
a software company in Ottawa that has hired autistic employees with the help of Specialistern.
How many did you get?
5 individuals with autism, including his son Nick, work here.
Why do you have to do it on purpose?
If you went back 50 years ago, there would be stigmas. There might be stigmas around cultural diversity, for example. I'm not going to hire this culture in. We've gone a long way 50 years. We had to do it on purpose, right? Race, those types of things. Well, someone had to stand up and say, we're going to do this on purpose. Yeah, everyone can sit on the same bus. Okay, well, this is 2017, and we're starting to do something new on purpose. I think 25 years from now, no one's going to think twice about it.
Is that completed now, or you're still working on that as well?
Still working on that one as well.
Nick may be the boss's son, but he got a job after shining during an internship here. Small talk isn't his thing, but he's proving he can test software like the best of them.
Do you like looking for glitches?
Yes. Usually if there's a glitch there, I just, usually I just feel the need to record it and capture it.
Is someone already on?
The job gives Nick a sense of purpose and gives the company a valuable employee. And it does that now.
This is not a charity. I look at it as a win-win-win. We win because we get great innovative thinkers. They win, they start a joy-filled life full of confidence. And their parents win, and their friends. Anybody who were doubtful of what life would be like, it's a good place now.
It's been great to meet everybody.
It's a good place for these people too. Remember the recruits building robots? All of them got hired. 1 at TD Bank, 4 at CIBC.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah.
As for Sean, he's gone from just working solo to now troubleshooting in meetings.
That would be helpful to put your perspective as well.
It's a step out of his comfort zone, and it's a step forward. Where do you see your career going? Is that a tough one?
I'm not exactly sure. For me, change is something that's difficult for me. I like a lot of the same, even though I do want more for myself. So it's difficult. So that is difficult.
But when you're ready for change, you'll be okay with that?
Right. Yeah. I think I would be okay when the time comes.
It is, after all, still very new for him and for business in general. But Sean's success now and in the future may prove he and others like him are much more than just a corporate novelty. Joanna Rumiliotis, CBC News, Toronto.